Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Thank you.
All right, so we're talking travel stocks. Expedia had a pretty good report last week. Booking.com reports after the close. Stocks had a really good run. Below all-time highs, taking a little bit of a hit today. What kind of data are you guys seeing on the travel stock?
Yeah, pretty mixed data as far as LikeFolio is concerned. You know, one of the things we love to look at is the year-over-year change in web visits for these companies. And as you know, you can see in the chart that we shared, pretty much all of these are down. All of the travel stocks year-over-year visits are down. Booking holding up relatively well compared to others. And you pointed out, you know, Expedia had a really nice report, even with that negative 12% web visits year over year. And part of what we see happening here, this is also happening on the app side of things. And so you wonder what's going on. How can these companies be producing such good results given less traffic? And the answer is that they're becoming even more excellent at executing the client request. And so what we're seeing is that through especially especially Booking's technology stack, that what they're able to deliver to the user is a much more honed in experience where the user is essentially getting the trip booked that they need much faster thanks to AI curation and other technologies that lead the user to the right path very, very quickly. Instead of many visits to get their travel figured out, it may take just one or two. And so Booking is one of the best travel companies in the world. We think from an execution standpoint, from a technology standpoint, they are the best in the world. We think that the international division will continue to show really good gains here. And so while we think that the U.S. travel market may be softening a little bit, we think international will continue to make up more than the difference on that. And Booking's exceptional technological advantages are starting to come into play here, where they're able to get more money out of less web visits, which is ultimately the dream of a company like this. So pretty positive on Booking from here.
You know, Andy, I look at the portfolio of their companies and I see Open Table, which is something I use frequently. But here's my question to you. So the one article I read from an analyst really talked about alternative accommodation sector, meaning Airbnb. And it sounds like Bookings is really starting to compete with Airbnb in that sector. I mean, obviously, Airbnb was a trailblazer there and made it pretty popular, but are some of these other companies like Bookings starting to compete with Airbnb? Can they actually cut in to their market share? Because, you know, the free cash flow of Bookings and Airbnb, very similar, Andy.
Yeah. You know, I think they can, and I think Airbnb is probably the loser here, because what Booking is able to do now is exactly what the customer wants. It used to be you would go to, you know, Expedia or Booking, and you would look up all the different hotel options that you had for your trip, and then you would go to Airbnb, and then you go to VRBO, et cetera, and you would, you know, kind of manually figure out which is best. Well, Booking right now, you know, they're really rolling out a very strong, you know, they call it AI-driven, whatever you want to call it, programmatic technology that allows the user to see both the traditional hotel options as well as the alternate accommodations in one search or in one view and make those comparisons directly. So again, less visits, less time spent by the customer, a better delivery, and a faster way to figure out what you're going to book. And that is what brings repeat visitors. That's what creates very loyal customers in the travel search space. And Booking is absolutely knocking it out of the park.
Andy, I know that you know, they're heavily based overseas. You know,
Yep.
I think more U.S. consumers are starting to use them. But you know, with the stock the way that it is, it's got that small share float. Maybe they should, you know, do a stock split at some point. But when you look at the data behind what you guys have you guys seen anything across the travel industry that shows the consumer pulling back at all like we did with Walmart, talking about the consumer maybe starting to pull back on some of their spending.
Yeah, we definitely see that, especially in the U.S. market. We see it on pretty much all things travel. When you start to look at early data on cruise lines, how much people are booking that, and that's very forward-looking. Months in advance, people are booking those. That's looking a little soft going into 2025. Hotels, a little softening there. It's somewhat in the airlines, a little bit of softening. So overall, I think there is a reality there, a real concern. I think that the booking in their conference call will have to address that. We'll see if the international markets can continue to hold up better than the North American markets. We think that's probably the case. But overall, this is a company, that I think any type of macro softening becomes an opportunity for a company that is so good at execution and so good on the technology side like Booking is.
Do you guys have an earnings score for this one going into the report?
Yeah, we like it. Slightly bullish going into this. I like the way the stock's kind of consolidated, a little flat year to date. So we think that there's room for upside, but would use a risk-defined position to do so.
All right, great breakdown for us. Great data as always, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking down Booking.com. Kevin, I mentioned it.